Say hello to Triumph's Cub. Well, after all, this is the youngest member of Triumph's much sought after Tiger family. And this youngest member of the Tiger family is packing the smallest heart and the most affordable price tag. And that is what makes it particularly exciting.
But it's a different kind of Tiger.
But this Tiger, unlike the newer Tiger 900, which is wild and very capable off-road, is promising something else. It's promising to be friendlier, hence the name Tiger Sport 660. So we have to see just how intense and just how capable this Tiger Sport 660 is. First things, I do question whether it's a Tiger because it doesn't have the Tiger DNA in the way it looks. If I have to say what it reminds me of, it would be a Yamaha.
The tracer and phaser, to be sort of precise. It's something to do with the upright fairing and slim headlamps. Surely you will not think of the Trident though.
Now obviously you're not going to be able to connect this to the Triumph Trident immediately because this is wearing completely different clothes. It's got a quarter fairing, it's got a proper windscreen up here, it's got a larger tank, 17.4 liters. Now this Tiger Sport that we're riding here is accessorized. It's got these engine guards, it's got a belly pan, it's got a USB socket under the seat here, it's got a quick shifter, and it also has Bluetooth connectivity module which we're using for navigation, and that's one of the cool features that you get on this Tiger Sport because of that instrument console that you've got here, which is packing in a fair amount of features. You can even control music on your phone and things like that, which adds to the convenience level when riding over longer distances.
This helps in making the transition from a naked to a tourer.
And well, there are changes underneath as well. For instance, this rear subframe is longer to make more space for the pillion, although I don't think this is really that spacious. There's also a longer swing arm which has lengthened out the wheelbase. To give it substance as a tourer, you get these integrated luggage mounts, and you can get the luggage from Triumph which would fit in very neatly over here. And aside from that, you get these rather handy large grab handles as well.
The tail lamp is very Trident though, isn't it?
What is shared entirely is the motor, and that is key to Triumph's promise of bringing something special to this segment.
Its rivals, the Kawasaki and Suzuki, are twins, a parallel and V. The extra cylinder gives the Triumph an advantage. It can rev more and has more performance too.
It's super easy to ride, which means 5th gear, 30 kilometers an hour, no problem whatsoever. It'll pull.
But more grunt, like the retuned 765s, would have been great. But the easy power delivery and the willingness to rev makes it very exciting. You would have to work the gearbox for urgent getaways, but that's no chore as the gearbox is smooth and the clutch is light. But there is one catch.
This one does feel a bit buzzy, a bit gruff, especially when you open up the throttle during the mid-range speeds. And when you rev it harder, you do feel a little bit of a tingle at the pegs and at the bar. To go from being a Trident to a Tiger Sport, there have been some changes to the suspension. Basically, you still have the same showers, but you get more travel, 150 millimeters of travel up front, and even the monoshock at the rear gives you 150 millimeters of travel. Aside from that, you're also getting remote preload adjustment, you're getting more ground clearance, which would make you believe. No. If that made you think that you're going to go bashing down roads like these, I would say stick to the tarmac. Why? Well, you've got alloy wheels here with a 17-inch front wheel, and the tires are the very best from Michelin, the Road 5, which are meant for the road. So if you're planning to tread down these paths, I'd suggest tread carefully. And that's primarily because of the suspension, which is heavily focused towards the tarmac, and even in that case, a specific kind of tarmac. The smoothest variety, because anything that's out of the ordinary, even a small bump at speed, can feel jarring and sharp. So this suspension does feel quite basic.
Maybe it's a bit too basic when you consider the price.
Then there's the long-legged ability. To get up to cruising speeds, you will have to work this motor a little bit harder, and once you get there, you'll realize it can cover distances quickly, but while doing so, it feels a little bit on the boil.
And talking of boiling, the heat from the engine could take a toll on the Tiger's commuting quotient. And although the ergonomics are comfy and tireless, the firm suspension keeps you from zenning out.
And in that sense, when you ride it at those speeds, you'll find that this is a sporty-edged motorcycle. And I would say that this is more of a sport tourer than an adventure tourer.
But before we speak about the sporty side of this Tiger,
let's talk about the practicality. Now, the seat height is 835mm, which is higher than the Trident. And actually, even for me, at 5 feet 6 inches, I can be at tiptoes, and over looser surfaces, I do wish the seat was a bit lower. Aside from that, the weight feels pretty manageable, and the motorcycle is nice to steer.
To make it more engaging to ride, Triumph has tweaked the chassis with sharper rake and trail to make it sportier.
And if you want to hustle it and get to the sport angle of it, this is a Triumph in that sense. It feels connected, it feels precise.
So, as long as the winding roads are well surfaced, you will enjoy hustling this.
But what let it down on the touring front creeps in over here to dampen the fun as well, because the motorcycle ends up feeling quite reactive over bumps in corners, and if you are pushing it really hard, you'll find that on the brakes the motorcycle ends up feeling a bit loose.
And this is down to the way the ABS is calibrated.
And that makes it feel a bit nervous. So inherently, the way the Tiger Sport likes to be ridden, the best way to enjoy it is really to dial things back a little bit. And like we said, that would be fine for beginners.
So the Tiger Sport could be a good beginner bike, but it's got 3 problems. First is its rather wooden suspension, and the second is its rather capable competition.
This Triumph Cub is going to have a fight on its hands. The V-Strom, by virtue of its all-round ability to really go rough-roading, off-roading, a place where this Tiger Sport would not. And then there's the Versys, which is bringing a lot of value, being about 2 lakh rupees cheaper and while being just as road-focused as this Triumph. So this Triumph Cub is feeling that. A bit of a cub in that sense, because riders with some amount of experience will grow out of this fairly soon.
And third is the price, because for almost the same amount of money, you could get the Street Triple R from Triumph, which is a lot more and a much better street motorcycle for the money.